Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Education of Psychology course. And in this week, we are going to see Chapter 10, Constructivist Views of Learning. So this is a quick outline of the video. So first, we are going to discuss what is constructivism. What is constructivism specifically in education of psychology? Then we are going to see the two main branches of constructivism, known as cognitive constructivism and social constructivism. Okay, so let's go. First, what is constructivism? Simply putting, constructivism is actually a philosophical perspective on learning. Okay, constructivism is not a learning theory, it's not a teaching theory, it's actually a philosophical perspective on learning. So you might be asking yourself, why do we care about philosophical perspective on learning? That's actually a very good question. So if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, I mentioned you that the teaching theories, okay, that's where you guys, future teachers, are interested in understanding. What are the teaching theories that are going to help me to do my job more effectively? But remember what I said to you a couple weeks ago, that those teaching theories, they actually come from learning theories. And that's what we are learning here in this course. We are covering different learning theories and how, so we can better understand how those learning theories translate into teaching theories and teaching practices. Okay? So again, why should we care about philosophical perspective on learning, such as constructivism? Well, one thing that I didn't mention 2 weeks ago is the idea that those learning theories, they actually come from philosophical perspectives about learning. Okay? Excuse me. So that's why we care about philosophical perspectives. It's because the learning theories themselves, they're based on philosophical perspectives on learning. Okay, so that's why we care about philosophical perspectives about learning, such as constructivism. So what is this new philosophical perspective about learning that constructivism talks about? Here, I'm going to talk to you about two main philosophical perspectives about reality, about knowledge itself and learning. Okay, so the idea is this is you. Okay, and usually the most common philosophical perspective about reality states that reality is something external to the individual, and learning means absorbing that reality. So this arrow is indicating that learning is absorbing reality. Okay, that philosophical perspective is actually known as objectivism. Okay, objectivism claimed that reality is something that exists externally to the individual, and learning means absorbing that reality. That is the most common philosophical perspective. Most of us actually hold that ontological perspective on reality, even if it is implicit. Constructivism offers a different philosophical perspective on reality and learning. Constructivism will claim that reality is not something external to the individual. Reality is actually something that is constructed by the individual. So this red arrow here is indicating that reality itself is constructed by the individual. That's where the name constructivism comes from, because constructivism is the philosophical perspective that claims that reality is constructed by the individual, and therefore, according to this perspective, learning is the process of constructing reality. Okay, so constructivist views of learning. Constructivism is a philosophical perspective that claims that reality itself is constructed by the individual, and therefore learning is the process of constructing knowledge. So that is constructivism. What But what is constructivism in educational psychology? Okay, so constructivism is a philosophical perspective on learning that claims that learning happens by knowledge construction. In educational psychology, though, we are not going to emphasize on the philosophical perspectives of constructivism. Instead, we are going to emphasize on the family of theories, the family of psychological theories that are aligned with the constructivist perspective. Okay, so let's go back to that diagram: teaching theories, learning theories, and philosophical perspective. Here, illustrated by this orange circle, is the constructivist philosophical perspective. Okay, here are, through those three circles, is being demonstrated a family of theories. Okay, those family of theories, they are all aligned with the constructivist perspective. Those are the learning theories that we are going to emphasize in this chapter. The learning theories that are aligned with the philosophical perspective of constructivism. Why do we use the term family of theories? Is because those theories, although they are different, they are related. Okay, they are all related because they all share the same philosophical perspective that learning is the process of knowledge construction. That's why we call them a family of theories, because although different, they are related theories. And as we said already, those learning theories that are aligned with the constructivist perspective, they will translate into teaching theories that again are aligned with the constructivist perspective. So constructivism. Constructivism in educational psychology is a family of theories. Those family of theories, they can be divided into two main branches. So a common approach to understand constructivism in educational psychology is by dividing those family of theories into two main categories: cognitive constructivism and social constructivism. Okay, so again, two main branches of constructivism known as cognitive constructivism and social constructivism. So what is the main difference between those two branches of constructivism? Well, the main difference is the unit of analysis that they use to investigate the knowledge construction process. So again, both branches of constructivism and claims that learning is the process of constructing knowledge. Cognitive constructivism will try to understand individuals' mechanisms for learning. Okay, so learning is constructing knowledge. The cognitive constructivism will emphasize how the individual constructs knowledge, individual mechanisms for learning. Social constructivism, on the other hand, will analyze social and cultural mechanisms for learning. So the unit of analysis between those two main branches of constructivism is very different. Cognitive constructivism tries to understand individual mechanisms for learning, while social constructivism tries to understand social and cultural mechanisms for learning. So let's see those two branches in more detail, shall we? First of all, the cognitive constructivism, again, emphasizes on understanding individual mechanisms for knowledge construction. Okay, an example of a theory that is aligned with cognitive constructivism is the Piaget schema theory that we covered 4 weeks ago when we were discussing cognitive development. If you remember, Piaget schema's theory claims that people learn through the processes of assimilation and accommodation. Okay, again, Piaget schema's theory exemplifies individual mechanisms for knowledge construction, and therefore it's aligned with the cognitive constructivism perspective. The social constructivism perspective, again, tries to understand social and cultural mechanisms for knowledge construction. An example of a learning theory that we have covered in this course before that aligns with the social constructivist perspective is from Vygotsky. So Vygotsky's social cultural theory. If you remember, when we were discussing cognitive development, we saw that Vygotsky's social cultural theory claimed that people learn by the process of co-constructing knowledge through social interactions and then appropriation of knowledge. Okay, again, that happens in the ZPD, zone of proximal development. So since Vygotsky is talking about social mechanisms for knowledge construction, Vygotsky's theory is well aligned with social constructivist perspective.